In 1957, the Ford Motor Company promised America the car of the future. It spent years researching exactly what buyers wanted. It spent a fortune, more than $250 million, over $2.5 billion in today's money, to build a brand new kind of car, backed by the most exhaustive market research the industry had ever seen. 3 years later, it was dead. It had become so famous a failure that its name entered the dictionary as a synonym for disaster. This is the Edsel, the car Ford studied to perfection and got catastrophically wrong. And the strangest part isn't that the research failed, it's that the research was right. They just didn't listen to it. The idea on paper was brilliant. In 1956, Ford went public, and its new managers did the math. They looked at General Motors, climbing a ladder of brands: Chevrolet, Pontiac, Oldsmobile, Buick, Cadillac, each one walking the customer up to the next as they got richer. Ford had Ford at the bottom and Lincoln at the top, and a gaping hole in the lucrative middle. So Ford decided to fill it, not with one car, but with an entire new brand, built from nothing, to attack the heart of the market where the real money was. They gave the project a code name, the E-Car, the experimental car, and they bet the company's future on it. To make sure it couldn't fail, Ford did something no carmaker had ever done at this scale. It researched everything. It studied what middle-class Americans wanted in a car, what they thought success looked like, what made them feel they had finally arrived. It told its investors and the press again and again that this car was not a guess. It was the product of sophisticated market science that would essentially guarantee the public would love it. Ford promised an entirely new kind of car. The build-up lasted more than a year. By the time it launched, America had been told over and over that something revolutionary was coming. There was just one problem with a promise that big: you actually have to keep it. And the trouble started with something that should have been simple: the name. Ford hired an advertising agency to find one. The agency came back with a list of more than 6,000 names. Ford's chairman, Ernest Breech, was furious. He said he'd hired them to come up with one name, not 6,000. In desperation, the company even wrote to a famous poet, Marianne Moore, for ideas. Her suggestions included Utopian Turtletop, Mongoose Civique, and Resilient Bullet. None of it worked. So, in a board meeting, with the company's president away, Breech simply picked a name himself: Edsel, after Edsel Ford, the founder's late son. There was just one objection. Edsel's own son, Henry Ford II, who ran the company, had said he did not want his father's good name spinning around on thousands of hubcaps. They named it Edsel anyway. Before the car was even built, the people in charge had overruled the research, the agency, and the family all at once. They called the launch E-Day, September the 4th, 1957. It was one of the biggest product launches in American history. Dealers covered the cars until the very last moment. There was a primetime television special with the biggest stars of the day. Ford had spent a year telling the country to expect the future. And then America finally saw it. At the front of the car sat a tall, vertical grille, where every rival had a wide, horizontal one. People said it looked like a horse collar, or, as the joke went, like an Oldsmobile sucking a lemon. And once the shock of the grille wore off, buyers noticed something worse. Underneath, it was just a Ford. The entirely new kind of car shared its body and its engine with the Ford's and Mercury sitting in the same showroom. The day after E-Day, Ford's stock fell. Because the hype had hidden how the car was actually made. Ford never gave the Edsel its own factory. To save money, it assembled them on the same lines as Ford's and Mercury's, and the workers, given no extra time, had to stop, swap their tools and parts for the one odd Edsel, then switch back. Many Edsels rolled off the line unfinished, with missing parts thrown in the trunk in a bag, along with instructions for the dealer to install. Some dealers never bothered. Some never even got the parts. So the car, that was supposed to be the most carefully engineered in America, arrived half-built and overpriced. Buyers walked into showrooms, saw the sticker, and walked back out. And all of this landed at the worst possible moment. A sharp recession in 1958 that gutted the entire middle of the car market. The exact slot Ford had bet everything on was collapsing, just as the Edsel arrived to fill it. The numbers tell the rest. In its first year, Ford sold about 63,000 Edsels, far below what it needed, though still, astonishingly, one of the biggest brand launches in history. The second year, sales nearly halved to 45,000. The third year, Ford built just 2,846 cars before it pulled the plug. In total, across 3 model years, the Edsel sold around 116,000 cars, less than half the number Ford needed just to break even. The loss ran past $250 million. On the 19th of November, 1959, Ford quietly killed it. The very next day, the used value of an Edsel dropped by as much as $400 overnight. People couldn't give them away. But here is the twist that makes the Edsel more than a punchline. The research wasn't wrong. Ford had correctly spotted the gap in the market. It had simply built the wrong car to fill it. A big, thirsty, expensive car, exactly when Americans were turning towards small, cheap, sensible ones. And Ford already knew it. Because at the very same time, it was finishing a small, plain economy car called the Falcon. When the Falcon launched in 1959, it sold over 400,000 cars in a single year. And it was built using the factory capacity and tooling that the Edsel disaster had paid for. The flop quietly funded the hit. And the deeper lesson outlived the car by half a century. Because 40 years later, another giant, General Motors, would run the same exhaustive research, make the same grand promises, override the same instincts, and build another overhyped, badge-engineered, oddly styled car the public openly mocked. They called that one the Pontiac Aztek. The Edsel was the warning. Almost nobody learned from it. So what really killed the Edsel? Not the grille, not even the recession. The Edsel died of the one thing all the research in the world can't fix. A company that fell in love with its own promises. Ford studied the customer for years, then told the customer what to want. And when the answers came back inconvenient, the men at the top trusted the hype instead of the homework. The Edsel proved something every car maker since has had to relearn the hard way. You can spend a fortune finding out exactly what people want, but it counts for nothing if you build what you wanted instead. That's why, all these years later, the name still means just one thing. Not a car, a mistake.